Good evening, friends. I hope you and your family are safe and well. Last lectures under GST, we have discussed about the certain definition part. Now we will talk about the supply. Supply word is very essential whenever we will talk about the GST. GST, it means Goods and Service Tax Act. Whenever we will talk about the goods sale, goods purchase, or we can say goods transfer, or supply sale, supply provided, supply given, or services given, services taken, then we will use the particular word. That word is called as a supply. Goods and services are supplied. Goods and services both are supplied. Whenever we will talk about the sales, whenever we will talk about the purchases, we will use the word supply. The supply word is very important in our GST, and you should understand the concept of the supply. Last lecture also we have discussed same things. I want to discuss this particular lecture right now. I will share something for your understanding purpose. Whenever we will talk about the supply, we have to understand the concept. Supply includes supply for consideration in the course or furtherance of the business, importations of the services for consideration whether or not in course for or furtherance of the business, supply without consideration, activities to be treated as a supply of goods or supply of services, and negative list of the supply. Now these three four things we have to include as a supply, and these things are negative list is not included, it is excluded from supply. Whenever we will talk about the supply, it means GST is applicable. Whenever we will talk about supply is excluded, GST is not applicable. Now first thing, supply for consideration in course or furtherance of the business. It means what? What do you mean by this? So we can say that supply includes sale, transfer, barter, exchange, license, rental, lease and disposal. Whenever we have to do, we have to sell, we have to transfer, we will barter, we will exchange goods or services in the course or furtherance of the business. It means it is supply should be for consideration. It means if I purchase mobile, I want to pay 25,000. 25,000 is a consideration, and furtherances of the business, furtherances of the business. So we can say that if you see this particular structure, in this particular structure, goods means every kind of movable property, and service means anything other than goods. It excludes the money and security but includes auctionable claim, growing crops. These are definition that we have studied, but whenever we have to understand the sale or transfer of the goods and services also under barter system also. Now these are particular example that we have to understand first. When a new car worth rupees 5 lakh is purchased in exchange of an old car along with the monetary consideration of rupees 4 lakhs paid for the said purchase. So it is called as a barter exchange. New car purchase, their value is 5 lakhs, but if you give exchange old car, you have to pay only 4 lakhs. So this particular example we can say that it is a supply. Now one more example of the barter. It is a exchange. Now it is a barter, but barter and exchange both are included under supply. Doctor provide medical consultancy and barber cuts doctor's hair. So it is also supply and it is a barter system. Medical consultancy is a supply of service by doctor and it is a consideration for the haircut by the barber. The consideration is haircut for doctor and this for his consideration is medical consultants. Then sometime lease, license and rental also considered as a supply. Lease, license or rental. Consideration may be in payment of money or otherwise for supply or monetary value or act or forbearance for the supply. So these things you should understand first. Any transaction involve the supply of goods or and services without consideration is not a supply unless it is deemed to be a supply under the law. These things you should keep in mind. Now furtherance of the business. What do you mean by furtherance of the business? Rishabh buys a car for his personal use. After a year, sell it to a car dealer. Now sale of car by Rishabh to car dealer is not a supply under GST Act because supply is not made by Rishabh in the course of the furtherance of the business. He is not a business. Rishabh is not doing the business of car dealer. He's using his car for personal purpose and he sell his car to the car dealer because of this car is outdated. So we can say that his supply is not made by Rishabh in the furtherance of the business. Rishabh's business is not dealing the car. Therefore, it is not a supply. I hope you understood. Then after that, if you see that the business definition that we have studied, now we will consider as a act. Business include occasion, sale of the goods, services as a occasion. Now Sundaram Acharya, a famous actor, paints some painting and sells them. The consideration from such sale is to be donated to charitable trust, kind women. The sale of painting by actor qualifies as a supply even though it is a one-time occurrence. Now in previous example, Rishabh sell his old car, it is not a supply, but this particular example, Sundaram Acharya, he is an actor and he has printed one painting and sell them. It is and for consideration purpose he has donated the whole amount to the kind human. These particular things are he can do in one time, but it is not occurred again and again, but it is considered as a supply. Then now one more example for services. A resident welfare association provides a service of depositing the electricity bill of the resident in lieu of some normal charges. Provisions or services by the club or association or society to its member is treated as a supply, and as this is included in the definition of the business. These things you have to keep in mind. A resident welfare association provides service to the resident in lieu of some raw material charges, and he has deposited electricity bill, still we can say that it is a supply. Supply by taxable person. Supply should be attracted by taxable person. Now what do you mean by taxable person? The person who is registered or liable to be registered under section 22 and 24 of the GST. Now we will talk about the one more example. Ramaya, a proprietor, has received the architect services for his house from an architect located in New York at a agreed consideration of $5,000. The import of the service by Ramaya is a supply. You see that Ramaya is a proprietor and he has received the architect service, and this particular service is located in New York, and he has paid $5,000 as a consideration. So the Ramaya imported the services. So imported services is a supply, and through is not in a course of the furtherance of the business. Then sometime it is a permanent transfer and disposal. Now we will talk about the XYZ company donates old laptops to charitable school. When the new laptop are purchased by the business, will qualify as a supply provided input tax credit has been availed. Such laptop. Now these are the particular examples of the input tax credit. Input tax credit, what is this, that we will discuss afterwards. Then related persons. This particular definition is very important. A person deemed to be as related include the legal person, such as a person, officers, directors of the another business. Such persons are legally recognized partner. Such persons are employer or employee or third person control, own or hold directly or indirectly more than 25% of the voting stock or shares of both of one of them, control or directly, indirectly the other. A third person control directly or indirectly both of. So these particular persons are called as a related person. Now whenever we will talk about the distinct person, a person who has obtained or is required to obtain more than one registration, whether in one state or union territory, or more than one union territory or one state, shall in respect of each such registration be treated as a distinct person. For example, Mohan he's a chartered accountant, has a registered head office in Delhi, and he has obtained registration in the state of West Bengal. In respect of his new open branch office, Mohan shall be treated as a distinct person in respect of the registration in West Bengal and Delhi. If you do the professional activity two or more states or two or more union territory, you should register in each and every state. If I do the business in Maharashtra and my office is located in Maharashtra, I should register. I can register in Maharashtra. If I do the business in Gujarat, I can register Gujarat also. It is a mandatory to do the registration each and every state where you do the business or give the services. Then stock transfer, branch transfers. Now one more example that we will discuss. Raghubir Fabric transfer 1000 shares from his factory located in Lucknow to his retail showroom in Delhi, so that the same can be sold from them. The factory and retail showroom of the Ranbir Fabric are registered in the state where they are located. Although no consideration is charged, supply of goods from factory to retail showroom constitutes the supply. Because here Rubir fabric, they transfer 1000 shirts, and where it is factory is located, where it is located in Lucknow, and then they transfer the retail purpose to the showroom in the Delhi, and they can sold them. The factory and retail showroom, it is are registered in the state they where they are located. We can say that it is a stock transfer or branch transfer. I hope you understood what is this, what do you mean by branch transfer or stock transfer. Gift by employer to employee. I provides that gifts not exceeding rupees 50,000 in the value of the financial year by employer to employee shall not be treated as a supply of goods or services. These things you have to keep in mind. If you receive the gift from your employer, from your boss, and it should not be more than 50,000, so this gift will be considered as a gift. No need to pay GST. So friends, I hope you understood the various concepts which are related to the GST. You should understand first about these things. Now we will talk about the schedule third. Schedule third. Schedule third, it is considered as a negative list. It is considered as a negative list. It means any transaction which are related or any activity which are related to the negative list, there is no supply of service, there is no supply of goods, or we can say there is no need to pay the taxes. Now what kind of transactions? Services by the employee to the employer. It means if I do the job in any particular company, so whatever service provided by me to my employer, it is not considered as a supply. Services by court or tribunal. Tribunal means small court. The court, district court, high court, supreme court. So these are the court functions performed by the member of parliament, member of state legislature. You can see that khasdar or amdar, member of panchayat, member of municipalities, member of the local authorities. These are the persons, they are doing the activities, doing the certain work. It is not considered as a supply. Duties performed by the person who hold the post of the pursuance of the provisions of the constitutions in that capacity. So it is also not considered as a supply. Duties performed by the person as a chairman or the member or the directors in the central government or state government or local authorities establishment, that it is not a supply. Then one more thing is services of the funeral. After the death of the human being, the body is funeral. Body funeral activities. It means मेल्यानंतर बॉडीला जाळणं. ब्युरल. Burial means the जमिनीत गाडणं. And then cementoriums or mortuary. Mortuary means मुर्दाखाना. Including this transportation of the disease, जो मेलेला आहे त्यांना सर्विस प्रोव्हाइड करणं, it is not a supply. Supply of land, sale of the bidding, it is not a supply. Auctionable claim other than the lottery, bidding and gambling, it is not a supply. These are things comes under schedule 3, and schedule 3 means negative list. So I hope you understood the negative list. So we will talk about the other supply. Also we will talk about the various things, how tax should be paid by the service provider to the government. That we will talk about the when tax is attracted, what kinds of deductions is applicable. We will talk the value of supply, place of supply and time of supply. These three criterias are very important whenever we have to talk about the GST: value of supply, time of supply, and place of supply. From this particular modules, then we will properly discuss about the how tax will be calculated. Okay, so these things you should keep in mind. Whatever I discuss, that you should write in your notebook. Unless and until you are not writing the in my notes in the notebook, you cannot understand the basic things of the GST is a vast subject. It is not a one day subject. If you read one day, and you have to consider about the within this one day I can understand everything, it is not possible. So you have to study hard and regularly. You will understand the GST perfectly. Any doubt, any queries related to the GST, you can put in our WhatsApp group. I will explain. Okay, bye.